Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum, a fast-acting alternative to energy drinks, 5 times faster without filling up on liquids. I'm Jeremy Elliott. I'm joined by the very tan Ryan Hand. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Were you laying out this weekend? Or
I got about 10 hours of sun each day without a tree in sight. So yeah.
What were you doing?
Softball tournaments, man. I'm telling you. And one of the COVID rules is that you can't have tents.
Oh,
like because of like pop-up tents, you can't have those because of like gathering under them.
Right.
So like none of the fields have tents and none of the fields have trees either. That's the bad part. So you just sit there and bake. And I'm not the umbrella guy. I'm not going to sit under an umbrella. So
you don't carry an umbrella?
But let me tell you, I got a mean farmer's tan, bud.
I guess it's better than no tan at all. So
yeah, my arms look good.
Well, we had an interesting week of sprint car racing, that's for sure. We're going to start at Tri-State Speedway, World of Outlaws, and I think we had a lot of surprises there in that Carson Short led every lap Friday night and gets the win. I think it's shocking to a lot of people. For me, it's not shocking, maybe a little surprising, but Hopstad lends itself to having some kind of different winners, and also the non-wing guys really seem to do well there.
Carson Short does well at a lot of those small tracks where you need traction and you need to be able to turn. I've watched him at a few of those races, and he's done really well. And Hopstad this weekend was no exception. He was awesome. Did everything right. His car was phenomenal.
Yeah, he even made a mistake in 1 and 2, and Sheldon Hodenshield couldn't run him down. Mm-hmm. So Carson, the car was operating, and let's face it, other than that one little bobble trying to get around a lap car, he was money.
And I think the second night he was hard charger. So, I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't a fluke. I mean, he was fast both nights. Track position means a lot in these races.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. I mean, ask Donnie Schatz, who was out of the top 10 both nights. That was surprising. That was more surprising than Carson Short winning, I think.
Yeah, they rank right up there. Yeah.
Carson Macedo gets the win the second night, and I think the odd thing about that is it was the first laps he's led all season in 14 starts with the World of Outlaws. And Carson was really good there. I had him. Thank you.
Good job, Jeremy. Yeah, that was I was going to pick Carson Short the first night, but I didn't.
Right. Right. I think you get bonus points for going off the grid a little bit, like 5 bonus points maybe, something like that.
Really? Is that what you think?
That is what I think.
Lucky I didn't have to use a provisional this weekend. Jesus.
Yeah, well, this is true. Well, guys that need provisionals. That's all I can say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But Carson Macedo looked really good, and I think we're coming up to some tracks where he's decent at. I mean, we head into the Jackson Nationals this week. It's a place that he won at last year. We'll definitely talk about that a lot in our 5th and final segment. But and we'll talk to Carson in segment 2. But he gets it done. He gets on the board, and he's 4th in points.
Carson's had a quiet but semi-consistent season. I talked to him when I was at Knoxville last weekend, and he was really happy with his car at most places he went. He just like track position, like Knoxville, he got called for a jump start in his heat. He started on the pole, and they called him for leaving early, and then that kind of ruined that. And he still drove back up to 4th that night. So I mean, his car has speed, and we've said it since last year when we interviewed him. And if Jim drive through a brick wall, he's going to try it. He's got the utmost confidence in Joe, and they got their car looking pretty good right now.
It does. And again, I think that's a guy you maybe want to watch this weekend at the Jackson Nationals. I'll be out there covering that for the website. Will you be out?
No. No. I'm going to be more tan in 3 weeks in a row, Jeremy. 3 weeks in a row.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Get the copper tone out. Put it on that forehead.
Yeah, buddy.
In central Pennsylvania, we had a bunch of back-to-back winners in that Freddie Raymer wins at Lincoln Speedway, and that was his second straight at the Speedway. third in 4 races, a good time. He's in a good stretch here going into Pennsylvania Speedweek, which we're going to highlight a lot in segment 3. Freddie Raymer, it was an entertaining race. It was the best race of the year in Central PA. Raymer came from 13th to win. Monteith came from 23rd to 2nd. And Danny Dietrich came from 17th to 3rd. Easily the best race at Lincoln this year, and the first time we've had a pass for the lead in 5 weeks at the Speedway. So Freddie Raymer clicking at the right time.
Yeah, no, I watched the highlights of it. It was a very good race. A lot of guys stayed up front for a while that don't normally, kind of run up there, but they did a really good job, stayed up front there, and Freddie kind of picked them off there late. And then I guess my only question is, Monteith was so fast in the feature. What happened the rest of the night? Like, I'm like, how do you start 23rd? Like, that means he only made it through the B main by 1 spot.
Yeah, in the heat race, he got, I don't know if he got together. It was a gaggle of cars going down the backstretch. He got the short end of the stick, so he was out at the heat race, started in the back of the B main and charged. Between the B main and the feature, he said he changed every bar on the car. And,
one of those nights.
Yeah, and look, he had a chance the last lap. He tried to pull a slide job going into 1 and 2. I thought he should have followed him in and waited till 3 and 4, but that's not Monteith's way. So Freddie gets the win. But again, just a really good show at Lincoln.
Yeah.
I was walking out of there, I think 10-15 or so, 10-20, and that's the way it should be done every week with those track conditions.
Yes, they got it. They got all the problems that they've had in the past. It looks like they got them all taken care of right now. So hopefully the track continues and the quickness of the show, the program, continues, and we see a lot of passing there. It looked like it had a little bit of a cushion, and it looked like old Lincoln.
I'm wondering if the late models being there helped, because the late models, let's face it, we see it at Port Royal all the time. Mm-hmm. Track gets racy when those late model guys are out there, after the late model guys are out there, and I think that might have helped a lot.
Fire up late models every week, Jeremy, I guess, huh?
Hey, I'm good with it. Works for Port Royal, why not Lincoln? But Anthony Macri also doubled up. He won last Sunday at Port Royal, coming back from Knoxville. Comes back this week, comes from 7th, and wins again at Port Royal. Not a surprise. Macri's really good at Port Royal, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the upcoming Speedweek events.
Yeah, I think it's as far as Speedweek goes, it's going to be about timing in and putting yourself in a position to succeed. As far as like this past weekend, it was a pretty good race up there. There were some lead changes. Justin Whittle started out leading and looked really good. And I started watching Cisney a little bit there, and Cisney looked really good. And then here come Macri with about 5 to go and got by Cisney. And he did hit the fence a little bit in 3 and 4 with about 3 to go, more than a little bit. Hit it pretty hard, and I thought, oh boy, he's gonna give it away. And then got it all gathered back up and got her done. And it was a good night because the sponsor of the top 2 cars sponsored the night, so that was a pretty cool night for him.
Now, if this was NASCAR, we would say that's planned.
Yeah. But no, there's it was good. The track got real thin on the top, like the cushion. There was basically none in 1 and 2. Another car that was really fast was Logan Wagner. He had to come through the B main because of a mishap in the heat race. They basically had to rebuild the car. He started in the B main, Jeremy, by the way. The B main had some pretty good cars in it. It wasn't a joker B main. It was pretty tough. And Logan had her operating in the feature and drove up to 5th. So that was fun to watch for people too.
Yeah, he started 20th. Look, the racing was good last Saturday night. Now, for Macri, I want to see him do it at another track. Mm-hmm. Port Royal's his wheelhouse. He loves it there. Yep. Jim Shuttlesworth's good there. I need to see it at Williams Grove, and I need to see it at Lincoln. So Speedweek's going to tell us a lot. I think he's going to run the whole series, I would assume.
I think there's going to be quite a few cars running the whole thing, to be honest with you, Jeremy. Or at least intending to,
Yeah, things change about Hagerstown is when things start to.
Yeah, or before, because that's, for some guys, that's a long drive, that's. I would say Hagerstown is probably a measuring stick as to when when you need to figure out if you're going to run them all or not, or save your stuff for the big stuff, big money stuff at the end of the week, you know?
Doug Hamaker won an entertaining 358 race up there. They had their open wheel madness. Nick Swaggart won the 305s. But Hamaker has 2 358 wins and 4 starts. I know he's going to run 410s a little bit this year, but it seems like when he gets in a 358, he still is the guy to beat.
I'd say between him and Nouse, Kevin Nouse, or they're the guys to beat in the 358 deal.
Moving on, we're going to go to California, going to go to Ohio. We're going to touch some other races. The King of the West Series got started out at Keller Auto Speedway in California. Spencer Baston, you and I both forgot him in our picks. It made me mad because I guess I just drew a blank and took Dom. But Spencer Baston set quick time, won his heat race, and led all 30 laps of the feature in the Tarleton entry. It was his first 410 sprint car race of the year, and he got it done. I mean, it's definitely a good debut in that car in 410 competition anyway.
No, he apparently he looked really good, because you don't clean sweep the night by not being good. There was I watched a couple highlights. It looked like there was a pretty big lip on her in 1 and 2, and there were some guys flying out over the edge, and yeah, it was pretty entertaining.
In Ohio, Tim Schaefer gets the win at Attica. I'm not surprised. I think he's going to get better and better with that Grove team. And then also when he gets back into 49X, I'm anxious for when that could happen. Maybe that happens this coming weekend at Jackson. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
I'll call into him. But then Cole Duncan wins at Fremont on Saturday. Are we done saying that Cole Duncan's underrated? Can this guy get some publicity? He's pretty good.
No, Cole's good. I mean, Cole and his dad get their car operating. The slicker it gets, the better they are. And I don't know that Cole runs Fremont a lot, to be quite honest with you. So to get a win there in a track that's not your normal. I mean, we know if he goes to Atomic, I'd put 80% chance of him winning at Atomic any given night. As far as Fremont goes, that's a different scenario. But obviously I think he's coming into his own. He doesn't run 80 races a year. So I think the progress takes, a little bit of time, and he's been doing it for a number of years now, and he's winning some races. He's really a good guy, and his dad's been around racing forever, and they get their car really nice.
Well, he's won in PA, wins in Ohio. I just think he can. I've seen him run half decent at Knoxville too. So
yeah,
he's kind of quiet and he likes it that way. But boy, does he get it done. Aaron Reitzel went to Knoxville, and what do you think happened, Ryan?
He started on the pole and won.
He stomped them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at one point, I don't know what he won by, but his lead was huge at one point. I know that.
Yeah. Aaron Reitzel gets the win. Jack Soderman wins at Lernerville. So, I mean, it's good to see more and more tracks getting back to racing.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, is there such thing as COVID anymore? Does it exist anymore or not?
Not in the mind of race fans. That's
for sure.
There's no social distancing going on.
Thank God.
That's for sure. That's going to wrap up segment 1, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. We'll be back in segment 2 with Carson Macedo before we preview Pennsylvania Speedweek. We'll talk to FloRacing's Michael Rigsby in segment 4, and then we'll wind up things in segment 5 with our picks. Stay tuned. Welcome back to segment 2, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. Joining us on the phone is Carson Macedo, who he led his first laps of the year on Saturday night. He made him count at Tri-State and gets the win with the World of Outlaws. Carson, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not as good as you after Saturday, that's for sure. always is nice when you can outrun Brad Sweet to get a win nowadays.
Yeah, man, Brad is like I said in the interview on Saturday there, he's a World of Outlaw champion for a reason, and he just doesn't make mistakes very often. So to be able to kind of capitalize on that late race restart, get around him there was, huge for myself, for Kyle Larson Racing, and for my crew, So I feel like we had a really good car all night. In the feature there, I felt like I had a really good race car. I felt like I had a car to win, which gave me the confidence, I think, to do what I did on the restart. But, yeah, I just, you don't get those opportunities every day. Being in the dash, drawing a good number for the dash, and then leading, a good portion of the race. Losing the lead late, I just knew I had to make something happen to win that race. Like I said, with the Outlaws and the competition the way it is right now, and how good everyone is, it's just, you don't get those opportunities all the time, so you got to make the most of them.
Last year, you win Rookie of the Year. This is your sophomore season with the series. Now, obviously, last year was your typical World of Outlaws schedule. It was grueling. This year's been weird with the virus and everything. How difficult or different has this year been for you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot different. I mean, it just sucks that it's just all up to this point kind of weekend racing. Being on the World of Outlaw tour, you're looking for that 90 race schedule, I think, or sort of what you're used to anyway. So it's just been a little bit of a change of pace for us. I think for the most part, I know myself, there may not be other people that feel this way, but I love racing, 90 sometimes a year. It's what I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. In the off season, I go to Australia and I race as much as I can in the off season as well. So it's just been a little bit different. It's been harder for us to get in a rhythm, I think, but it seems like the last few weeks we've really been able to hit some strides, and we've gone out of our way to go and test and get better, and I really feel like a lot of it's starting to pay off. So I think in our last 5 starts, we've got a 7th, 3/4, and now a win. So I feel like ever since we've started, just going the extra mile to get our stuff better, we've been a lot better. So that makes me happy.
Now, Carson, you just ruined my next question for you. Jeez. I've been watching. I watch Twitter and stuff, and I've seen you guys probably tested, I don't know, 2 or 3 times so far, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're not doing the midweek racing as you spoke of, it gives you a little bit of time to test, which I think sometimes can be certainly maybe better than a race night, because you can throw stuff at it that maybe you wouldn't normally, and maybe figure something out or rule things in and rule things out. Is that kind of what your testing has been for?
Yeah, it's the crazy stuff. I feel like, being with the World of Outlaws, every single night is so important. So, like a typical points night, you wouldn't want to get too far out of the box on your setup or what you're doing. So for us, I think going and testing or giving those laps, those opportunities to try something that you would maybe be too nervous to try on any given night, racing for points, and just getting too far out of the box you definitely don't want to do that. I think some guys try things during the night and get themselves so far out of the box that then they can't reel it back in to get back comfortable. So testing, there's no pressure. You go out there, you put the wing on backwards, put the left rear on the right rear, and it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's been big for us, just trying to, every car is different, every body's package is different in a little way. So I think everybody does their own thing to make themselves feel comfortable and fast, and we just had to find that for ourselves. I think we're trying some things that worked for us other places, and it for whatever reason wasn't working at the racetracks that we were going to currently. So I feel like we're back on track. I think that's one of the most unique things about the Outlaw schedule is that every racetrack has its own little quirks. So what works at one place, you can go to the next place and you might win the one night, go to the next track, and you're in the B main. It's just it's so critical to have your notebook for every racetrack, and that's what we're building towards, I think, at KLR.
Now, Carson, a week or so ago, we spoke, you and I spoke at Knoxville, and you indicated that your car has been really pretty good at times and most of the year this year. Is the consistency that you guys have found, is that something that you focused on over the off season? As opposed to, obviously, you got to run consistently in the top 5 before you can win races. Winning one race it's great, but like you want to be there and try to win every race, kind of like Brad and Donnie are. And it seems like you guys have gotten that consistency started and going this year, and you have 12 top 10 finishes, and you're 4th in the standings. Kind of a quiet, sneaky 4th in the standings until now you broke through this weekend with a win.
Yeah, I mean that's what I looked at the Outlaw points at the end of last year. They have the categories of how many each driver has won, how many races each driver's won, how many times they ran second, third. How many times they've won, how many top 5s they've had, and how many top 10s they've had. And if you look back at the World of Outlaw points, it's almost a direct reflection of how many top 5s you have to where you're running in the point standings. And so I think, myself and my guys, we just kind of had to sit down and what is it going to take? Right now, I feel like we're at the end of last year, I feel like we had a handful of top 5s. We ran 6th in points. We won 4 races. What's it going to take for us to get to that next level and, break into the top 5 way more often? And so I think coming out of Volusia, I feel like we had a better Volusia than we had in 2019. We went down, we went to Williams Grove for the opener after everything kind of shut down, and we're really, really good at Williams Grove, which was a place that absolutely, killed us in the standings last year. So to get that place sort of figured out, I thought anyway, our car was 180 degrees different and better than we've ever been there, and really, really felt way more comfortable. So I feel like we have a better notebook for that place. Like I said, I just think the World of Outlaws is getting your notebook good at the places that you struggle at. For a long time, I feel like there was a few years there. The first year, I think actually that I went to Knoxville, the 3G, I struggled a little bit. Me and Joe, we weren't the best, and then we've gotten our notebook really good now. Knoxville, my car last weekend at Knoxville was one of the best cars there. I feel like our cars are really, really good at Eldora every time we go there. California, our car is really, really good. Now in Pennsylvania, I feel like, Port Royal, we've been okay. And then Williams Grove, our car is a lot better than it ever has been. The only place I feel like we need improvement is maybe Lernerville. So I see the pattern of the places that we're good, we just need to stay consistent at. And then the tracks that we struggled at, we just keep building our notebook for those tracks. And we're here too. And I feel like, if I look at the schedule as a whole, our notebook is really good for probably, I'd say, about 85% of the Outlaws tour, I think, So I don't think we're that far off, and I think maybe that's why the consistency's coming a little bit more regularly now. And again, I think it's because I've never stopped racing. The more, even testing, you go out there, you make laps, and immediately you just get better. You're seeing it with Kyle Larson right now, my car owner. He's amazing. He's amazingly talented. But you see, when he was stringing races together here and there, racing Cup, and then racing here and there, he's still amazing. He's still coming and win an Outlaw show, but you didn't see the consistency that you're seeing now. He, 9 out of 10, or 9, the other last week with midweek 9 out of 10. He had 1, and it's like, those are all-star races, World of Outlaw races, USAC races. These races are not easy to win. They're the best drivers in the country. And I think with him being in the car, more consistency, you're really starting to see his talent show through. And I feel like for me, being able to race all the time helps me a lot.
So, Carson, you mentioned about the car being better. What about you as a driver? I know when you go out in your first year with the World of Outlaws, there's a tendency to be excited and kind of jacked up to get things done, make things happen. Did you kind of evaluate yourself in the off season as well, as to maybe take what you can be given instead of trying to maybe do things that you shouldn't do?
Yeah, I think definitely. the biggest thing that I've worked on here lately is actually has really nothing to do with my driving abilities. Like I would say last year I was way more focused on, being aggressive and passively aggressive, obviously finishing races. But, I really haven't felt like, for whatever reason, like I feel like I've always been an aggressive driver, and been lucky enough to not crash very often. Like last year we only had 2 DNFs, I think, and one of them was just one of those deals where somebody had spun in front of me, and we had nowhere to go. But I wrecked by myself at the Ironman, the prelim night of the Ironman. But other than that, I really didn't have very many DNFs, and even this year, we have 1 DNF. It was actually a rear-end problem. We didn't even get to start the feature at Peevely. So other than that, we've been lucky enough to be in the hunt and finish all the races. So as far as like my driving style or I guess night in, night out, making good decisions, and I'm always studying film all the time, always trying to get better as a race car driver. But the more of what I focused on this year is the mental side of the sport. The World of Outlaws is tough because it's really easy to get your confidence down and get to a point where you stop believing in yourself. And I've just tried to go above and beyond to, watching other athletes that have had success in the top levels of their sport, reading books, whatever I can do. I meet with a guy named Tim Hamill, who's my sports psychologist. I'm just, I feel like the World of Outlaws, so many guys beat themselves before they get to the racetrack, and I'm trying to make sure that never happens to me.
What athletes are you kind of watching, or what athletes have you studied?
Recently I watched the Michael Jordan documentary. I don't know if it's
great.
The Last Dance. It's probably one of the most amazing documentaries I've ever seen, and probably one of my favorite shows I've ever watched. It's just amazing. Like, you take Michael Jordan, for instance, his will to win. He just, at all costs, wanted to win no matter what. His work ethic, the intensity that nobody else saw except, obviously, his teammates and the people that were within the organization. But everybody just saw the winning. Nobody really saw all the work and the effort and the time and the energy that he put in, and how aggressive he was and how much he wanted to win, the stuff that would motivate him. He just was a different level athlete, and that's why he was who he was, I think. So I think there's a lot to be learned from those kinds of things, especially in our sport where 24 guys show up to the racetrack every night, and there's to run the feature. Obviously a lot more show up most of the time, but only 24 make the show, and there's one winner. So it's easy to get discouraged and get down on yourself and stop believing in yourself. And typically when that happens, you're never going to win. So it's just really important, I think.
So Carson, obviously Kyle's been racing. We talked about Kyle racing with you guys. How much of a help is it for him to be at the track? And then also, I've watched you in heat races with him and think, man, your car owner is going to take a spot out of the dash. He's going to keep you out of the dash. Like, yeah. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword, would you say?
Yeah, it's just like the documentary, right? Like, not that I'm not going to go out there and say that I'm Scottie Pippen, but it's like Scottie Pippen and the Bulls, like all of us, racing on the Outlaw Tour. He shows up and he's Michael, and we're all competing against him. He's amazing. He's obviously an amazing talent. But, like, Kyle racing is a good thing for all of us. I truly believe that if you want to be the best you can be in anything in life, that you have to go play, race, compete, whatever, against the best of the best. And I don't think that there's a more naturally gifted driver than Kyle. Obviously, Kyle puts in the work, the time, and the effort too, and not a lot of people see that. But Kyle is very, very I don't know how to say this, but he's very, that's all he thinks about. He all he cares about is racing. I mean, obviously he cares about his family and his wife and Caitlin and the kids, but he's very, very, introverted in the fact that he loves racing. That's all he thinks about, where he can race next, and he's having a lot of fun doing what he's doing right now. So I think I've learned a lot from him just because he's, I don't know if you guys have watched some of his interviews, but he can really break down a race and what he does. And so it helps me a lot because obviously, as being his driver, he wants to see me do well. So, he tries to help me in any way he can, which is definitely great. I mean, it's just like anything. I think learning and racing against the best is going to make you a better race car driver any day.
Well, Carson, I do want to tell you that I picked you to win Saturday night at Hopstot, and Ryan had no faith in you and went with Brad Sweet.
No, I had Donnie the second night.
We crossed the line damn near side by side.
You know what? I had faith in you. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that.
But
Jerry made a great – he really did. He made a great pick. He did. He doesn't do that often, but he did a really good job this week.
But
yeah.
You got a big race coming up this week. I mean, obviously it's not 100,000 like you were originally supposed to race for, but it's $30,000, Jackson Nationals. You've had success there. You won there last year, one of the prelim nights. You got to feel pretty good going into that event.
Man, I really do. Last year, our race car that whole weekend, Friday and Saturday was – actually, I think it was 3 days last year too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So I remember last year, across 30 days, our car was unreal. I thought every night we were really, really good. The final night we missed it just a little bit in the feature, but I think we have a really good idea of what we did wrong. So going back there, I feel like we're going to be really good. When we went there earlier this year, Jackson did a one-day show and we took a totally different package there just to see if we could do better, and struggled a little bit, but I think we can go right back to what we had and have a lot of success there. I remember last year we were really good. We won one of the prelim nights. We locked in, so we A-main hot laps. We were the fastest car in A-main hot laps. And we did a couple of things with our car and really kind of just got over the edge of where we needed to be. But I think that going back this year, I have a lot of confidence. I feel like my guys, Joe Gertie, I'm super fortunate. I get to work with him. I think my personal opinion, there might be some that disagree, but I think that he's one of the best mechanics ever. I think especially for me, he's just a really good fit for me. I have a lot of confidence in him, and he's really calm, which keeps me calm because obviously I really want to win. I go to the racetrack and I'm really passionate about doing well. So there's times when I'll get frustrated, and he's just that calm, always the same attitude type of guy, and I think it really helps me a lot. So anytime I can work with Joe, I feel like I'm overly confident, and I think that going into Jackson, I think we have a really good shot.
Carson, I know this is gonna be Jeremy's first trip to Jackson. What a facility! I was lucky enough to get there at that one-day show that you spoke of earlier. One thing I noticed about the track is it can be really good, and then it can go really racy quick, and then it can go to like rubber, like before you know it. How as a driver, like, is there stuff you look for, or when it's going to happen? Like, I guess my question is, how do you prepare yourself to make sure you're ready for the lane changes quickly when especially if you're leading? Because hey, no one's passed me. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah. What's weird is that one-day show that you went to. Had you ever been there before that?
I'd never seen the place.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, that one-day show that they had, the track, I love Jackson. I don't want anyone to think I'm talking bad about Jackson, but for whatever reason that night, the track was not typical. In my opinion, it wasn't very good. where I thought the year before when we ran the Jackson Nationals, it was really good and consistent throughout the 3 days.
Okay.
And it was racy. You know, it had a top and a bottom. It had more of the Knoxville characteristics. It was weird this past time when we went there. It was like really top dominant, I thought, and then it actually took rubber, and then the bottom kind of came in because of the rubber, and then the feature they tried to rework it and tried to bring it back, and it was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It actually was dirty and still took rubber, like under the dirtiness. Like I was running right through the crumbs and felt rubber, you know. So it just was different. It was different for some reason, and I'm kind of really hoping that it's the way it was at the Jackson Nationals last year. You know, if you remember right, like Brad won one of the prelim nights on the bottom. You know, brakes sparking. You know, just like Knoxville. You know, you could cut the bottom or you could rip the top. You know, slide jobs, and the track changes drastically so fast. So I'm not really sure why that happened last time we went there, but typically it really doesn't change that fast. I feel like it's a little bit more consistent. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, Carson, I want to thank you for coming on the show. We look forward to seeing you this week. I'll be out there covering it for the website. And maybe Ryan will give you some love picking you this week. I don't know what his problem is.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for having me on, and it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thank you, and good luck this weekend.
Good luck, Carson.
Yeah.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome to segment 3, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. Ryan, I got stuff happening outside my window. I got thunderstorms. I got everything going on here.
Yeah, you were just locked up. Like, I'm not sure this is going to work right now.
We'll make it work.
Okay.
Nobody wants to see me anyway. We'll just have our producer put some pictures over it.
Well, no, what happens is I don't even know what you're doing. Like, I don't know when you're talking or whatever. It just goes like that.
Well, you are in Tower City.
I know. Go ahead.
So, obviously, I do want to hit on two things. Before we hit Pennsylvania Speedweek, I wouldn't be doing justice or my journalistic responsibility if I didn't mention Port Royal last week. They put out a release on Friday about they had somebody test positive in a concession stand for COVID. Bad deal. Just a bad deal all around. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? I think track's got to be wary. I mean, from my perspective, I think track's got to be wary of it. I would not have raced Saturday, just from the way it looks kind of thing. I know that would have taken away a win from Anthony Macri, but I just, boy, that's a dangerous thing.
I think what they did was appropriate. They shut down their concessions, which is where the problem was. So they acted quickly there. And the other concession stands are run by Packers independently from the track. So obviously Packer has to know his employees are not of COVID positive. So I mean, I don't know. I look at this whole COVID thing a lot different than people do. So most people do. So maybe I'm not a good person to poll.
You're always a good person to poll.
No, because if I really said what I really wanted to say about COVID, we'd be beep, 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 beep. So
we're beep, 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 beep anyway.
No.
You're pretty good. I like when you get excited though.
Yeah, I'm not big on this whole COVID thing. They can take the mask, they can shove them, they can do a lot of stuff. Like, let's just, I don't know. I've watched it. My wife had it. I watched it. It's not, for 95% of the people, it's not that bad.
Right.
And we shut everything down for everybody else. So you know what? I don't know. I'm not a good guy to ask.
I will say this. Everybody railed on our governor. We're the third lowest state for new cases. Maybe the governor did the right thing. Just saying.
You
Just
may
saying.
have, but you're still in the yellow.
I don't care. I'm not. I don't
You're
wanna,
the only place in the yellow.
I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay.
I just feel bad for all the people like the sole owners of businesses and stuff that have been shut down and not allowed to work, collect unemployment. I think it's just bad. But whatever. Enough of that.
Yes,
We
Pennsylvania.
have to talk about Jeremy.
Pennsylvania Speedweek. 9 races, 9 nights. Starts this Friday night at Williams Grove. Then we go to Lincoln, Selinsgrove, Lincoln, Grandview. Then we go to Port Royal, Hagerstown, Williams Grove, and Port Royal again. I think I got them all.
Yep.
That's a mouthful. All in succession. Purses are, the winner shares up on a few of them. $9,200 at the Kevin Gobrecht Memorial at Lincoln. Then Grandview's $10,000 too. Now it was last year as well. It's a Greg Hodnett race. And then we have Williams Grove goes to $15,000 on the Mitch Smith Memorial. And then we go to $10,000 in the finale on July 4th at Port Royal, Greg Hodnett Classic. Ryan, there's a lot of money to be made in Central PA over the next week.
Yeah, you certainly can't complain about the purses for this week, man. The tracks have all stepped up, and honestly, like this could be Williams Grove's second race of the year. If the weather continues to look the way it looks this Friday, a $15,000 to win race at Williams Grove could be the second race of the year there. That's pretty scary. But I think they'll make out really good there. I think Speedweek always has great crowds. Hence, because of the great crowds, we have great purses, and kudos to the people that come out and support it. And the promoters that put their neck out on these big purses, I'm happy that you guys do it. And, it really helps the owners and the drivers a lot.
It does. And obviously the big news is Kyle Larson's coming in here. Now I've heard every race. I've heard 8 out of 9. I've heard different things. I think we're going to have to wait and see. How many wins does Kyle Larson get? Because he's on a tear. I don't think the PA guys are hitting their stride yet. That's me being kind. I've told you what I thought. I think we're soft. Well, there, I went and said it anyway. Except for maybe a couple exceptions, Freddie, Lance, and obviously Danny. But how many does Kyle Larson get?
Well, that's a good question. I watched Midget Speed Week, and he got 4 out of 6.
Yeah.
And, he was terrible in the other 2. He ran second by a couple inches in the other 2. So, honestly, I just sat and talked to Carson there for a while about Kyle. Watching him is amazing. I don't just watch him make laps. I watch the laps he makes, and last night, I watched the midget race last night, and he had no business running second last night. 0 business to run second, and then to miss winning by 0.6 or 0.06 or something of a second. He had 0 business being that close to winning, but only he. I'm telling you, the kid's amazing. He makes speed when he just knows when he's not fast, and he changes whatever he has to. It's just amazing. It really is.
I watched that race as well. He caught a late caution. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been. He would have finished 3rd.
No, right. But I'm saying.
But he went to the top.
He caught. Yeah. He tried to go to the top before the caution and really wasn't going anywhere. No, it was his only chance. He wasn't passing them, right, running behind him. And he somehow, in those 3 laps, way better than the lap he ran up there before the caution. I'm just like, how does he do it? It's crazy. It's amazing.
It is. And just some other news, Lance DeWeese released his schedule, which is important for our picks, obviously. He's going to run Williams Grove, the opener. He's going to run Saturday at Lincoln. He's going to run Grandview. Then he's going to run both Port Royal races and Williams Grove. I'm surprised he's not going to Hagerstown, but of course that can change with Lance. You just never know where that team's going to show up. And I think he's Kyle Larson's biggest competitor, along with Danny Dietrich, who, as I wrote today on SprintCarUnlimited.com, I don't know where he's going to fit in because he doesn't know. It's going to be weather dependent this weekend, as whether he goes to Tennessee for the All-Stars or if he stays. If he stays, he's running all Speed Week.
Mm-hmm. Obviously Danny's going to be tough. It doesn't matter where he goes. Doesn't matter what tracks. He's going to be good at all of them. I mean, he can certainly drive hard enough. I'm just not sure any of these guys are, if Kyle runs enough races, I don't know who's going to be able to keep up with him. I'll be honest with you. Lance does not drive as hard as Kyle. Okay. Lance's car is always really good. No, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying lap for lap. If Kyle's car's close, he's going to put a hurting on a lot of guys. It's going to be ugly, but hopefully track conditions dictate a lot of passing, and we see some awesome racing, because we've had some pretty good racing this year. As short as the season's been, we've had some really good races.
Freddie Raymer's on a hot streak. I mean, he's won 3 out of 4. You couldn't ask for a better way to enter a 9-race stretch than winning 3 out of 4.
Yeah, no, Freddie's definitely hot, and obviously Williams Grove is one of his better tracks. He'll start with Williams Grove, Lincoln, Seals Grove. I mean, honestly, those 3 tracks are probably his 3 best tracks in PA. So if he can time trial in, put himself in position, he'll definitely be a threat to win at those 3 tracks without a doubt.
I think the guy that we're going to be watching who needs to have a good week is Lucas Wolf. He only has 2 top 5s this year. It's been rough.
Has been, and they are searching. They're bringing from triple X to max to who knows, it's tough. And when it's tough to get in this, like when you're in this funk, it's hard to get out of it. It seems like you can't do anything right. And I mean, Lucas always time trials good. So if there's a glimmer of hope, if they get time trialing, that'll take care of a lot of things. If they get starting up front, and one good race can brew a lot of confidence. So hopefully they get time trialing and they can put on some good racing here.
Well, he won last Wednesday with the Patriots Sprint Tour at Land of Legends. It didn't help him Saturday. It was obviously a different car, but he needs a good run. And Rico Abreu announced that he's going to be in for some races. Williams Grove, Port Royal. So I'm really surprised he wasn't listed for Lincoln. I don't know why that is, but he'll be in. I'm curious if Aaron Reitzel shows up. Brock Zierfoss, obviously, what's going to go down there. So I think there's a lot of – we could have some good car counts. Corey Eliason showed up last year. Maybe he comes in as well.
I can also see a guy like Shane Stewart coming in Bernie's car. I know I saw a tweet. Bernie asked about the format, and someone replied what the format was and everything. And so I wouldn't be surprised. It's big money. There's big money to be won at the end of this week. I mean, basically all throughout the week. But, I mean, you can hit 4 or 5 races here and make a lot of money in PA. Yeah,
it's $4,000 to win the points too. So it's great. Red Robin. So they did a great job stepping up and taking that title sponsorship. So it's going to be an interesting week. Unfortunately, I will not be at the first 2. I'll have somebody there for Sprint Car.
You going to California or something? Or what?
No, I'm going to Jackson. Stop it. I'm going to see Jackson for the first time. But that's going to wrap up segment 3, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. We got storms brewing outside, but we'll be back in segment 4 with FloRacing General Manager Michael Rigsby. Stay tuned.
You always get more at Red Robin. More to crave? More to share? And more time with those who matter most. At Red Robin, you get all the fulls.
Red Robin. Yum.
Where bottomless steak fries are free with every burger.
Welcome back to segment 4, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. Joining us on the phone is Michael Rigsby, who's the general manager of FloRacing. And also, if people like dirt, late model racing, you own DirtOnDirt.com, which was purchased by Flo. Michael, how you doing?
Wild times, man. Busy. It's as you and I have been trying to connect for a week, Jeremy, and finally the schedule allowed an hour to do it. But I'm happy to be on with you and Ryan. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. I don't know about the Bears thing in the background. As a Dallas fan, I'm not feeling that, but you have a better owner.
Oh, there's the second worst owner in football.
Yeah. Listen. We are owned by a 95-year-old woman, right? So I would, I don't know. I might be thrilled with. And Virginia McCaskey's a legend in the sport, but I think I might want to take ownership of the Bears here soon. I think so.
If Flo keeps going, you're going to be able to.
I don't know about that.
Which, first question out of the gate, you purchased SpeedShift, made a lot of news. Was this an ongoing thing, or did this kind of come up out of the blue? How did this whole thing work?
Both, I guess, is the weird answer to that. When Dirt on Dirt was acquired by Flo, and I was named general manager back in September, I went down to the Austin, Texas office, and Mark Floriani, the CEO of Flo and the creator of Flo, basically had me write on the whiteboard, what do you want to do, right? What is your vision as general manager? I'm trusting you, right? You're the first company we've bought. I am trusting you to lead this for me. And SpeedShift was one of the early things I put on that list, just because I very much covet Darren and Haley and Chet and Toby and all the people that have worked for them and still will work for us now. And I just thought it was very important to not only start consolidating some of these subscription platforms, but those guys particularly to me were people I was very interested in working with. And, you make early overtures to them in September, October, and nothing really everyone's busy. We're all flying around, but as we rolled into late winter, early spring, it was something that we started talking about a little bit more seriously. And it was something that once we started to put all the numbers and the logistics together, really made sense for both of us. So I would say, a couple months, it took, I would say. But, with any deal, Jeremy, they can all go sideways any day, right? So you may have been talking about it for 2 months, but it only takes 2 minutes to unravel a deal. So the credit to the SpeedShift guys were fantastic the entire time, and ladies with Haley as well.
Well, we got the softball out of the way. Here come the hard ones.
All right, let's go.
I'm known for this, but no, it won't be too bad. Now, what everybody wants to know is, as far as like Dirt on Dirt is still kind of separate from Flo, kind of is almost a subsidiary. Is SpeedShift going to still be on its own, or is it going to come right under the Flo and all going to be FloRacing?
Yeah, so I can answer. That was actually an easy one that I can answer. So SpeedShift will be absorbed completely by Flo. So the 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, there are logistics to this that are not that easy, right? Like the subscription, are you on the same payment system and all this stuff you have to get lined up. But SpeedShift will eventually, I think within the next month, completely become part of Flo. Every event that SpeedShift have will be a part of that $150 a year Flo subscription. SpeedShift's website will inevitably dissolve. And we'll keep it around for a while for promotional purposes and stuff. But very soon, within the next month, everything will be under the Flo banner. The only real reason we've kept Dirt on Dirt separate is because Dirt on Dirt also had, as you can appreciate, this massive editorial following, right?
Yep.
And creative video content separate from highlights and everything. It was its own sort of New York Times-ish thing for late model racing, right? So that's why we kept it separate. But the goal is by the fall to have it all under one subscription banner. So Dirt on Dirt's website will remain, but it will be the same login bar at the top for Flo, and you'll get everything for $150 a year, all live events, everything. We'll hopefully by the fall be under one banner. So
wow. Wow. $150 is not a lot of money for all the stuff you're going to get. That's a bargain if you ask me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. The Eldora late model events alone last year cost $200, right? The Dream and the World, and whatever those two things will be this year, you'll get for $150 plus every night of USAC Midget Week, every night of USAC Sprint Car Week. It's the growth is happening quick, right? Our expansion is really happening quick, and I'm excited about that. And then you bring in all the Dirt on Dirt content with it, and it's I'm not saying we'll be $150 10 years from now, but for the foreseeable future, we're going to be $150, right? And that's Flo's model, and I believe in it very strongly. So,
go ahead, Jeremy. I'm still trying to put my head around the 150. I think it's great because here's how I look at it. I look at the pay-per-view as how much does it cost? It cost me $30 a night to go in the pits, right?
Yeah.
So in 5 nights of going to the races, I've have a subscription paid for.
Yeah, and we've got right now it's 800 events. When you combine SpeedShift, DoD, and Flow, it's about 800 nights of live racing. We'll push, I think 2021 will push 1,000 events depending on how our rights go, and that's only live events. That's not all the editorial stuff, which again I know after Jeremy's heart, I love the writing, the written stuff, all the highlights, all the interviews, all the shows we do from the studio. That all comes as part of that. We'll eventually be part of that. We just gotta cross your T's and dot your I's. You can't just merge them all into one thing. You got to figure out how it's going to work logistically.
No, I get it. And kind of, look, this pay-per-view thing's been kind of, it's been like a free-for-all for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Was one of your goals when you went in kind of to consolidate all this, not only to give it some sense of normalcy, but also, let's face it, for the fan?
Yeah. It's become, I think there was, when I started Dirt on Dirt 2007, there was like one other website doing some video work, right? And now, like, there's so many. And that consolidation is very important to me. Consolidation with the right people as well, right? And Darren and those guys are really the right people, in my opinion. So, consolidation is a big part of this, right? We have to start kind of this. I don't mean this in a crass way, but we have to kind of start knocking some of these, consolidating, getting them under one roof. Because any night you're like, what is this? Where is this at? What is this on? Yeah. And I want every live event to just be on FloRacing, right? For our rights, every live event's on FloRacing. Dirt on Dirt will exist as this editorial, fun other website with schedules and results, but that's what Flow is going to be. But you'll get it all, right? Your yearly subscription will get you access to everything. It's consolidation had to happen and had to start happening. And I don't think it's done yet. And even if it's just not us, we're still looking. Trust me, I'm still trying to acquire other people. But I don't think we're done yet. And I think other people are doing the same thing we're doing.
Michael, I have a question that's very important to me, and I get ripped on about it a lot.
Okay.
The free links, they were running wild for years. It
Yeah.
seems like they've slowed down, but I'll be honest with you, I got free links for the whole people. I didn't use them, but people sent me free links for the whole midget week.
I love my favorite thing is whenever someone says, I got a free link. I did not use it. I got a free link, but I did not.
I didn't, because
it's all right.
A year ago, maybe.
It's all right. I can tell you this. I have made it what's really bizarre about this is here's Flow Sports, right? This company with 300 plus employees and thousands of live broadcasts a year. The way that the free links are generated on FloRacing is something they've never seen in Flow. It's unique. It's like, well, what are they? And we know kind of how they do it, right? To a general degree, but the people at Flow were like, wow, we've never seen this before, and all of wrestling and gymnastics and all the stuff that they've been doing. So we have really made it a priority, particularly the last, call it 3 to 4 weeks, to start cracking down on that. Do I think there will inevitably always be some sort of hacked link? Yes, I do. I do think we are taking the right steps to combat it. On the Dirt on Dirt side, we had really worked closely with Brian and Ian from Turn 2, right? And they had done a good job of sort of cementing some things and making some great things happen there. I think an awful lot of Brian and Ian. And we're adopting some of those things that we're hopefully learned at Dirt on Dirt on one side of Flow. But we are working on it. It is one of my top priorities, and it is a huge pain in the ass. Yes, all three of those things are true.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
And you mentioned Ian and Brian from the Cushion. I work with them as well, and they do a fantastic job. They actually showed me a lot of technology for the podcast we do. So definitely
two good guys. Two guys I've had a lot of respect for a long time that have helped me in enormous ways in my career. So I hopefully inevitably one day I work with those guys, right? I've always worked with them, but on a more intimate level, just because I do think a lot of them.
Now you're the late model guy. I mean, I've heard this story, and actually before I started my website, I called you because I think what you did with Dirt on Dirt's kind of the direction I want to go with my site as well. But you were the late model guy. You kind of I'd say you cornered the market on that pretty well. And even though Flow had USAC before the start of this year, how important was it for you to get a bigger footprint in sprint car racing?
Me personally, or Flow Racing? That's a good question. we knew we couldn't stop at USAC, right? And obviously, let's be clear, like, the World of Outlaws Dirt Vision will always have the rights to the World of Outlaws events.
Right.
So that's something, unless some grand partnership is struck, a year or two from now or whatever.
Good luck with that.
Well, listen, I'm always open to every idea, right? I never shut the door on any idea, but listen, Brian Dunlap and those guys do a great job. I've worked with Brian for a decade. So, they're going to do their thing, but there's a lot of other sprint car things out there. I think, in my opinion, I probably undervalued the popularity of USAC. I'm an Illinois kid. Indiana's right across the border. I've known about USAC my whole life. My grandfather raced midgets. That's why we are racing people. I'm a late model guy, but he's a midget guy. I undervalued how probably big USAC was on a national level, from California to Pennsylvania to Indiana. And that's been an eye-opener and been awesome. But I also firmly believe that the All-Stars profile is arrow is up, is pointed straight up. And that deal was very important to me to get worked out. Mike Levy, who's one of our absolute best rights guys at Flo, and the guy that I've done a ton of work with, he was really spearheaded that All-Stars deal. And I was right there with him working on it on the Eldora side and everything like that. You tell me, Jeremy, it seems to me like the All-Stars profile is being raised every year now, the last couple of years. Tony's involvement has, of course, helped that, but every race is live, right? And I knew All-Stars were very important. And IRA, I don't want to forget IRA. It's a great regional tour out in the Midwest and Wisconsin, and Steve Sinclair and those guys. But, what do you think about the All-Stars? To me, they are more and more popular every year.
Look, I mean, this year obviously is kind of wild. I cringe at any series right now. But, I mean, when you have Aaron Reitzel, Corey Elias, and Brock Zierfoss, Zeb Wise, good young guy, Paul McMahon's still there, you're covering all the demographics. And I think that's important. And Aaron Reitzel's not ready to go outlaw racing yet because he has a kid, and until goes to school, he isn't going to run World of Outlaws. So I think the All-Stars have a very good product, and I think they're definitely on the uptick. The best race I saw this year, actually probably the best two races I've seen this year, were on pay-per-view in the last 11 days, and they were All-Star bets.
Yeah, no, that one race in Oklahoma was
Red Dirt.
I mean, Red Dirt was like, the stream at Eldora gets over, and our entire production crew is sitting there watching this All-Stars race, and it was, I mean, we were laughing. It was so good. Like,
I'm hitting my dad on the couch.
And then, who brought the yellow out? It was 2 to go. Somebody brought the yellow out. Who was it? I can't remember who it was. But we're like, no. It was hilariously good, right? And I've gotten to know Jared Fruit pretty well. Blake Anderson's a very good friend of mine. Blake is one of the best announcers in the country. I'm thrilled beyond belief with the All-Stars right now. And same thing with USAC and IRA. And here's another thing, too. One thing we've all learned during this COVID thing is the power of I don't say the power of an unsanctioned race. Listen, the World of Outlaws are always going to be the king of sprint car racing and late model racing, Lucas and the Outlaw. But, man, you can have a lot of good unsanctioned races, right? And we found that out in late model racing. We were literally putting on late model races, basically, right? And these fields were amazing. 45 cars, Jonathan Davenport. And I think in sprint car racing, some of the same stuff can happen. Some Wednesday and Thursday night stuff that doesn't have to be tied to a sanction that I think we are interested in pursuing as we move forward, particularly in Pennsylvania, Port Royal, Lincoln, places that we have rights to, and out in the Midwest as well.
It's pretty awesome that, obviously, during the COVID, we weren't going to have racing without pay-per-view. And it was very concerning that, especially back here, we're one of the last ones to get through the whole COVID thing. And without pay-per-view racing, we would have been in big trouble back here. So kudos to you guys, and thank you. It
was a shit ton of work, right? But in a good way. Like, it was booking events on a Sunday night that were going to happen on Thursday. But who cares? There's no fans, right? So as long as it's me texting drivers all night long, would you come? Would you come? And I know that SpeedShift did a similar thing at Park Jefferson, right? That was a hugely successful event. And I think you'll see more of those things happen rest of this year and into next year where, hey, Wednesday night we're running an Atomic for $10,000 to win, right? Unsanctioned 410 sprint car race, that kind of stuff. And I'm excited. Why not? I mean, not everything has to be an All-Stars race or a USAC race or an Outlaws race, in my opinion. There is where I love an unsanctioned late model race. I love it. So I'm hoping sprint car people will buy into that a little bit too.
As long as you get the stars, you'll be fine. Sprint car racing just depends on stars. It's you guys have so many in late model racing.
Yeah.
And I think the late model model, so to speak, sprint car racing could definitely learn from it. But, you know, Flo, I know Flo. I first knew about Flo through wrestling. I covered high school wrestling. I covered college wrestling. And how close is FloRacing from a reach standpoint? Is it to wrestling? And do they want? Is that the idea? Hey, we want to almost like have a second huge thing.
I'm going to say two things. First, the people at FloRacing I love the FloRacing people. They are awesome. They've taken us under their wing as the racing, as the new kids. So they're some of the best. Secondly, we're coming for them. And I don't think, and I mean that like in inner company excited competition, we're close. We're getting there. Our reach we're growing at a very rapid rate, and we're coming for them. And that was my goal. I told Mark, I wrote on the whiteboard, bigger than FloRacing. I want to be bigger than FloRacing, right? And the wrestling people, listen, we all have stake in Flo. I've been watching some wrestling stuff, and I want those guys to keep growing too, but I'm coming for them. We want to, my entire racing team, our racing organization wants to be the biggest vertical at Flo, and I believe we're on the way to doing that.
Ryan watches wrestling. Spencer Lee, baby, Iowa. There's nobody better in the country than Spencer Lee.
Yeah. It's the wrestling is what we found is the crossovers a lot.
There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah. And it's think about it, right? Iowa, not crazy at all. Well, of course, there's tons of late model and sprint car fans in Iowa. Pennsylvania, tons.
Yeah.
I mean, they're some of that Appalachian area where there's tons of it is a lot more hey, I watched a wrestling event, now I'm going to watch a race. And I didn't expect that. And that's another thing I've learned in my short time here.
Ohio's a hotbed for both.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's there is a lot of crossover. I know in the fall, we get to talk a lot about wrestling and a lot about racing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, it's listen, if you want to come on and do some Flo wrestling stuff with us sometime, we can do a whole crossover show, racing, wrestling, everything. So it's and I don't know much about jiu-jitsu, but I'm learning also, because that's another one of our big verticals is Brazilian jiu-jitsu is huge at Flo. So
wow.
You know, you guys had some problems with broadcasting at first.
Mm-hmm.
Just some hiccups, new to the game, so to speak. What do you guys? I've seen improvement. I know last year I saw some stuff and it wasn't as good as what I've seen this year. What do you guys need to improve on moving forward from a product standpoint?
It's a good question with several answers depending on what the actual question is. And I agree. We have come a long way. And I think part of that was, our brand at Dirt on Dirt was very strong and very well respected. And what we had done there, but, we weren't NBC Sports for the Olympics, but we were damn solid every time we turned the cameras on. And we have instilled a lot of that, and the Flo people have bought in completely. And the USEC people have, the USEC sort of retooled their production package on their own, and it's been good this year. The All-Star stuff is pretty much the VOD folks have just taken it over and are producing it, and I know that's been part of it. The question always begs, let me ask you. Okay, I'm asking you again. I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't care.
What do you want to see from – take an All-Stars race, right? Not every All-Stars race financially can be a 5-camera shoot. Are you content with one great up-top cameraman, a couple of speed shots, timing and scoring? Is that enough for you?
Yeah, well, yeah. And I think the only – and Ryan can chime in too. For me, that's fine. I want picture quality. I care about sound quality. I care about things like that. Master that, then walk to the next thing. It's no different than my site. And I'm sure when you were Dirt on Dirt, master something, then move on to the next thing. And the only other thing you could add is, and I should probably, Ian will probably kill me, but him and I have been talking about doing some stuff within the downtime. There's so much downtime during the race. Doing some downtime there. The other thing is, I would like, now I know he'll kill me, I want to see some programming during the week. I know, just regular, like my website, I do a podcast. I purchased the Ohio podcast. It just keeps it rolling every day. Yeah. But
that was important to me at DOD, right? Our content through the week is nonstop, and we're starting to implement that at FloRacing now. But I'm with you. To me, it was like when I kind of got the flow, I'm like, let's not try to orchestrate a 12-camera World 100 shoot on every All-Stars event. Good announcer audio, good up-top cameraman, Jeff Converse, Steve Gigas, people like that. a great up-top cameraman, a couple of nice speed shots so you can catch a replay in the corner and make sure your graphics are good. And for the most part, that's enough. But to answer your question, it's mastering that and then stepping up to that next level, in my opinion, where it's, okay, the Tuscarora 50 at Port Royal, that needs to be a better broadcast. That needs to have a on camera. That needs to have a pit reporter. And that's why I'm so excited about having Haley Shanley, because she is going to be able to pit report for us for a ton. And I really want to make her the face of FloRacing. She does an incredible job, and I want to make her the face of Flo. And levels, one level at a time, right? I want my whole thing in DoD to tear it all down, evaluate the pieces we've got, and slowly start rebuilding it correctly. So that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to keep doing with the help of the people at Flo.
What do you think, Ryan?
One thing that I always enjoyed, even like, I know the Cup broadcasts are longer, but a lot of times they went into technical stuff, and even like the older school. When I say technical stuff, like explaining to first-time viewers why the right rear is bigger than the left rear, stuff like that. Wings, why the wings move.
What's tough? What's tough to me is, like, if you're watching an all-star sprint car race on Flo, you are likely not a first-time viewer, right? And I am torn on that, because to me, I built dirt on dirt. I didn't care about a first-time viewer, and that may sound bad. This was for the hardcore. This was for the person that ate, slept, breathed, drank dirt late model racing. And that's what Flo's a little different, right? Because you might have a wrestling fan or a jiu-jitsu fan, brother and over. So I agree, Ryan, you're right about that. But I also don't want a broadcast where you're listening to it and someone's like, these dirt late model cars are going around and around, and here is a motor. To me, that's like disingenuous to the audience. I want Blake Anderson telling me about cool shit. You know what I mean? That's what I want. And so you're right on one hand, Ryan, but on the other hand, I don't want somebody going, yeah, I know what a sprint car shock is. I don't need to see this, right? There's a line there.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm thinking for like your late model guy who doesn't maybe watch sprint car racing as much, hey, fair. They may not know that the wing moves, that's the only control the driver has in the car,
That's fair.
Stuff like that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Since Ryan's a former crew chief, I think he just wants a job.
Oh.
I will.
I don't think I have a face for anything, Jeremy.
No,
this is as far as it goes.
Ryan, I'm taking your name down now, Ryan, and we will do our best to. I'll add your list to the resume list. Right?
Perfect.
It's pretty good. He was with Greg Hodnett. That's pretty good. Hey, last question. We'll get you out of here. Again, thank you for coming on the show. You have USAC. You have the All-Stars. You have Port Royal and Lincoln in the East. You have a bunch of stuff now out west, 800 broadcasts, maybe 1,000 next year. Where do you see this going from a 3 to 5 year plan? Because let's face it, if you're not a business looking that far down the road, you're failing. And I know you just from talking to you, you're already looking. So 3 to 5 years, where do you see Flo being?
Well, I think a lot of people assume, well, Michael's a dirt late model guy, USAC and the All-Stars are dirt sprint car series. Well, they're just going to there's a whole big asphalt world out there, right? And from short track asphalt racing to drag racing to all sorts of other things. So I think somebody said to me yesterday, well, you're out of dirt series. There's nowhere to go. This is it, right? It'll never get any bigger than this. But I think there's a lot of places we can go. Again, and there's already companies servicing, like Speed 51 does a ton of asphalt late model stuff. And I'm blanking on the name. There's a drag racing website too. Forgive me. But do we try to talk to those companies about working out relationships and things like that? So I think there's a whole other segment, and I don't think there's a ton of take drag racing crossover and dirt late model crossover. I don't think those fan bases are that similar. So to me, you're looking for those new fans, right? And there's those areas that we can go to, and there are plenty of other guys like me who have started websites and companies in dirt track racing that I want to talk to. Maybe they want to do their own thing and they don't want to be a part of a bigger organization, but if they do, I want to speak to them. That's my job now, is going after these people and talking to them. And I think Darren Shanley would tell you, I didn't want to compete with SpeedShift. I wanted SpeedShift to be a part of our team and make sure they were rewarded for all the work they'd done over the years. That was very important to me. I did not want to compete with them. I wanted to, now there are certain people that piss me off that I do want to compete with. But Darren was not one of them, right? And for the most part, I'm not that kind of competitive guy. I'm a guy that's like, we're better if we're working together than if we're working apart, right? And, so I don't know what the next 3 years brings, but the next 6 months, man, we're looking hard. We are talking to a lot of people right now. I know that.
Michael, I have one last question here. Last Saturday, we had our first live major TV show with dirt sprint car racing.
Sure.
How is that going to affect, if that gets a little bit bigger, how's that going to affect the pay-per-view?
I do, and I didn't see it, so I don't know. I didn't see.
I didn't either.
That night, I don't know what I do have it recorded. For again, credit to the guys at World Racing Group for pulling that off. Right, that is not easy to get shit on TV. Yeah. It's not easy. So Brian and Ben and all those guys, credit to them. I haven't seen it yet, for one, but listen, the World Finals were on live TV. Was it 10 years ago? The World Finals were on live TV, I think, on Speed. If I remember right, it's been 10 years. TNN broadcast in the 90s and all that stuff. I don't know that there's a single person out there, and it's weird because I'm a TV guy. I'm a traditional TV guy. Like, I am not a cord cutter. I want my direct TV. I love my guide. I don't want to have to log into an app all the time to watch my television. But I think I'm in the minority. I don't know that there's a single human being out there that would say, you know what the future of the world is television. You know what I mean? In that way. To answer your question, Ryan, I don't think, as far as the streaming world goes, I think it will truly have no impact. If they want to put some shows on TV simultaneously, I think that's cool for folks that are still TV people like me. But these things right here, man, I mean, this is where everybody's doing everything right now. And I just don't see any scenario where that's going to become more and more prevalent as we move on. So TV stuff is cool. Credit to Lucas and World Racing Group for doing it. It's not an easy lift. They deserve credit for that. But I don't think it has any impact on us. I really don't.
I know, to piggyback that from my standpoint, I was at Lincoln Speedway covering an event, checking out pay-per-view, because I need the notes and everything that I do. I need to see those things, and it's just easier for me to plop it on my phone. And not that I'm the most technologically savvy guy in the world, but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, that's one cool thing about Flow too, is our apps are so easy to use. And that's one thing we never had in Dirt on Dirt. We didn't have the resources to totally invest. Our apps are just boop, pop it up and it's on. Roku, Apple TV, all that stuff with Flow is. That was one of the reasons I ended up selling the company, because I'm just looking at them like, look at all these resources that they've got, that are just so cool. So, but it's weird. I'm such a TV guy. Everyone's like, Rigsby, did you cancel your cable bill? I'm like, I have a $300 a month direct TV bill. I'm that guy, because I want my guide, and I'm like my 67-year-old father in that way, right? I want my TV. So
Amazon Fire Stick, baby. It doesn't get any better.
And you're hipper than me, Jeremy. You are hipper than me when it comes to television.
Our producer Kalita hooked it up for me. I have both TVs on Fire Stick, and it's only costing me $110 a month, and I get everything.
There you go. See, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to television. So.
Well, Michael, I'm going to thank you for coming. We keep you on for an hour. I don't want to do that to you, but I'm sure you got work to do. You got to watch your broadcast. So, again, thank you for coming on the show. And Rhino will be expecting a call from you when you wrote down his information. and
oh boy,
make sure his criminal record checks out first, right?
Yeah, you'll be fine with that.
There's no. I want to make sure there's no discrepancies there.
Michael, again, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on the acquisition of SpeedShift, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep, take care. Welcome to the fifth and final segment, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Energy Gum. Ryan, we got storms where you are, where I am. We're cut in and out. It's chaos here.
It is pretty much chaos. Hey, let's have the storms now before the racing starts, right?
Yeah, that is true. I'm a little worried about Jackson and the weather that's projected out there. You never know what you're going to get. Michael Rigsby, though, it's great to have him on the show. FloRacing just growing and growing.
Interesting guy, man. Just a really cool guy and on top of his game for sure.
Well, look, he grew dirt on dirt, and if FloRacing grows like FloWrestling has, which obviously I was around that a lot, they're going to be in really, really good shape, and I think they'll also be good for the sport.
Yeah, I think in Michael's hands, it looks like things are on the uptick for sure.
He looks re-energized too. From when I've seen him at the World Finals with dirt on dirt. I mean, look, after what is it, 12 years or whatever, this is kind of new. I think that's also helping him as well. He looks energized. He looks ready to go. Sometimes you need a change.
Absolutely.
We all do. So Jackson Nationals, you're getting a change because I've caught you in wins.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible. In fact, I think a few weeks ago I said there's no way I'll catch you in wins.
It is very possible because I think there's going to be hot streaks and low streaks on the system we're doing now, and it's showing because I went on a little hot streak. Now you're on a little hot streak, and you just never know because usually you get one guy that goes on a hot streak and you keep taking him, and it adds up. But right now you got to hit when the guys aren't hot, you got to hit the right guy.
Correct, and not get provisionals.
Yeah, and Joe's bastard of a provisional thing. Yeah.
Got to make
Thanks,
the race. Come on.
Thanks, Joe. You're the best.
Jackson Nationals. Look, this was slated to be a $100,000 to win event. It didn't happen. It's going to be $30,000. I expect it to be back to normal next year. Hopefully, cross your fingers on that one. But I think there's Kyle Larson's not going to be there from what I gather, and that's shocking to me.
I'm blown away by it. I guess it says a little bit about Pennsylvania Speedweek.
I guess, but he can make it here by Monday. He's going to miss, the Grove, Lincoln, and Selinsgrove, and combined they pay $21,000 and change. I just don't understand that. Maybe he wants to win the title. Maybe it's just a prestige thing, a notch on his belt or whatever. He can add it to his list of accomplishments, winning a Speedweek title. I don't know what it is. But Rico Abreu, not going to be at the Jackson Nationals either.
Yeah, Rico's come in here. I think Rico looks at it a little bit differently too. I think he's a merchandise seller as well. And I think, look, he's gonna get 9 days of different people, so to say, instead of 3 days of the same people.
Correct. No,
so
I think
he
you
looks
hit
at
on
it like that too.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on something there. Brad Sweet's the defending champion of this event. Outran Donnie Schatz and Darren Pittman a year ago, and he won 2 out of the 3 events at Jackson last year for the Jackson Nationals weekend. So, he's got to be the favorite.
Yeah, he looked pretty stout up there earlier this year too. So
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, that goes without saying. There's a reason he's leading the points, right?
Yeah, and I also think Sweet, like last weekend, Sweet had the best weekend of the title contenders, and it wasn't really close. He finished, I believe, 5th and 2nd, and Donnie wasn't in the top 10 either night. Logan was in the top 10 only the second night. He got lapped the night before, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Brad Sweet, he's on a roll. Carson Macedo might be able to make some noise. Sheldon, I think, was –
Don't forget Gravel. Gravel will be there. He'll be all right.
He'll be there, but I need to see more out of that team. I'm not worried about David Gravel. I think David Gravel's fine. The team, I just think needs to be better. And I just think that's some of the storylines heading into the weekend. Obviously, I'm going to have more on the Jackson Nationals throughout the week on SprintCarLimit.com, but we're going to do some picking. Okay. Before we get to the Speedweek stuff, get your little pen and paper that you like to get.
I'm ready. I'm already set up, brother.
You're set up? Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're serious now after getting beat a little bit.
Yeah, it's time to get a little more serious here.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I still go first because I'm
Yeah,
behind.
you still go first. I guess because you use the positions plus
Well, yeah.
minus as your.
Yeah, we've always done it like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's
go
hard
ahead.
to change
Fire away.
Oh, it's tough. I'm going for a win right out of the gate. I'm taking Brad Sweet. I'm not even waiting. I want to take the lead
Not
early.
waiting. Okay. Well, then I'm going to take Donnie Schatz because he looked pretty good up there earlier in the year.
He did look there.
Then I'm going to take Brad Sweet because why not?
Yeah. Okay. Give me Macedo. He won for me last week. I'm going to ride it.
Riding the Carson train.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Then I'm going to go. I say Donnie gets rolling. He's 66 points back in the
Yeah,
Outlaw.
he's got to get it moving
He's got to get it moving.
because Brad doesn't look like he has a weakness right now. Big track, small track.
Correct.
I don't know when Pennsylvania's on the schedule because that seems to be like his maybe a slight kryptonite for him right now.
I think they're going to run in July.
Yeah.
For everything I'm hearing. So I'm not worried about that. So go ahead.
Okay.
Who do you got in the finale?
I'm going to go 1S.
Ooh. Okay.
Big races, 3 nights at the track.
Yeah.
They get better every night. There's nights when there's weeks that they don't start out good, but if they stay there long enough, they get her dialed in.
Fair enough. Now we go to Speed Week. We talked a lot about it in segment 3. Obviously, Fred Raymer has all the titles. I think Freddie could win the title this year, depending on what happens. Kyle Larson is a wild card for picking purposes because what if he misses a race? And where do you take him? I know there's a couple tracks that I'm not taking them. And then, of course,
I agree.
And there's the Lance DeWeese factor. So, which, he hasn't been great. I even think you've said that he could be better.
Yeah.
But
I think they would say that. They're realistic.
But it's Speed Week. And I think we're going to see Lance DeWeese be better. So who do you got at Williams Grove?
Speaking of none other.
Ooh, getting DeWeese out of the way early.
Yep.
All right. Boy, that weather makes Dietrich – you don't know what Dietrich's going to do.
Yeah.
So – and nobody's run at the Grove.
No, that's one of the reasons I took Lance.
That's
because
smart.
they're no huge.
Yeah, that's smart. I looked at the weather report. I'm going to take Raymer. I have to have somebody who can put it in the top 5.
There you have it.
And then Lincoln. I hate doing this. Brian Monteith has bit me so many times. So I'm going to bet Dietrich doesn't go, and I'm going to take Dietrich at Lincoln.
Okay, you got Dietrich, Lincoln the first night here. Okay.
Yes.
48.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to take Freddie at Lincoln, and I'm going to take if Dietrich goes to Bulls Gap. I have a feeling. Oh, you said he won't run Sealands Grove. I was going to take Dietrich at Sealands Grove.
Tough.
Yeah. I'm going to ride the high. Man, high box is. He doesn't always qualify. He doesn't qualify good though. That's the problem.
He's been good to you. He's been good to you.
That means you want me to take him, and you have someone else up your sleeve.
Oh, I have 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Well, I'll tell you what. because you can shut me out of the Larson sweepstakes, I got to take him now.
Ooh, take it.
Because you could shut me out.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, I know I would have.
That would have never crossed my mind.
No, I play to win, baby.
Yeah, well, I'm too nice of a guy. Believe that.
Oh Lord.
Selinsgrove, boy, I could go. Logan Wagner is planning to run that, if I'm not mistaken.
They're planning on running the whole thing, yes.
He's fast there. He's pretty good there. And I won't burn him because we're only picking through Lincoln.
Right.
Selinsgrove's so tough because I have Raymer already. He's out of the mix. Kyle Reinhardt has finished first and second there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. And I think he's running all speed weekend between the two cars.
Yeah, he is. I'm going to take – do I want to pull the trigger on that? He's good there. I'm taking Kyle Reinhardt. I'm gonna and then I'm taking Larson at Lincoln on Monday.
Okay. I am going to take I didn't use my Dietrich pick.
Oh, he'll definitely be back for Lincoln.
Yeah, I got that. I got Dietrich.
Okay. All right. And then USAC. It's everybody's
No,
favorite.
wait a minute. Whoa.
Oh,
You're going
no.
right out of order.
It's on
Oh,
your
yes, you are. You're going out of order, Chief.
Well, because we're picking. I want to get that out of the way.
Well, are we not picking ASCS?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Read your sheet.
Okay.
USAC's
Got
at Plymouth Speedway Friday night. It's one show, Ryan. It's no big deal for you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm going to just take Wyndham, I guess. It seems like I take him all the time.
You do take him all the time.
He's got to win one for me soon. He won. I think he won last night in the sprint car, so he's got to win soon.
I wish I could take Buddy Kofoid. Looked really
He was
good.
impressive. He was impressive during Speed Week, honestly. He was.
Yeah, he matched Larson move for move a couple
A
times.
few nights. Yeah. No, he did. He did. I don't know what happened to him. I'm not sure what happened to him last night because he qualified terrible. He didn't make the invert.
Yeah, he didn't make the invert, but he drove it forward in his heat race, and then he started at the back and came up to 10th. I'm going to take your point leader, Justin Grant, at Plymouth.
All right.
ASCS gets back in action for the first time since March 8th. That's a long time. They
might not remember what to do.
No, they don't. I don't even know who's running with the series. So they're Caney Valley Speedway in Kansas. Look, I think it's who's running the series. Justin Sanders is going to be there. I think that's interesting. If you want to pick it, I'll pick it.
I already took it off the list, bud.
Okay, so we have 8 races anyway.
Because honestly, it's a bad one because we don't know who's going to be there.
Right.
Like, it's a tough one to pick.
And Joe's head will explode if we go above 8 picks.
Oh, really?
No.
He can't keep track of provisionals? Or what?
Well, I don't miss races.
He has no problem with that. Jesus.
That's true. But does Sam Hafer drop in? Blake Hahn's leading the points. I think, Matt Covington. I think Justin Sanders being there is interesting. From what he told us on the show, he's going to follow him all the way up to Elma, Washington, maybe run Knoxville, even in the 360. Should be interesting to see what Justin Sanders does and what he adds to that series.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely going to be interesting because I think Justin's one of them guys that will get better as he does it. He gets more accustomed to some of the places, and he is a very good driver. He is a very good driver, and I think it will take a little bit of time to get used to places that aren't in his comfort zone, so to speak, of California. But I also think there's races there for the pickings for him too.
Absolutely. Obviously, I think, with Speed Week, we're going into the meat of the season. I think next week we might be on site somewhere to do the podcast.
Oh, boy. There's a possibility.
There is a possibility. It's Jackson, then back to Selinsgrove all in one day. Love it. How many races are you going to attend at Speedweek?
I'll be honest with you, Jeremy. I don't know. I really don't.
Oh,
Someone's got to work every day, Jeremy.
oh, here we go.
See, my work day doesn't start at noon, 2, 3,
Oh,
whatever.
here we go.
Because you're up till 3 or 4. Sometimes I'm up till 3 or 4, and it still starts at 7. So, whatever.
Okay, I'm going to let you think that, but we want to thank Carson Macedo and Michael Rigsby for being on the show. We appreciate their comments, their candor, and we're going to have plenty of content on SprintCarUnlimited.com throughout the week. Coverage from Jackson, coverage from Central Pennsylvania Speedweek, and of course, we'll be back next week. Stay tuned.